The manga opens with the main character narrating how he once mistook his step-sibling for a brother, only to later realize that Akira was actually his younger stepsister. One night, she casually asks if he wants to sleep with her. Shocked, he assumes it's a joke, but she simply yawns, says goodnight, and slips under his futon without hesitation. From there, he begins to explain how Akira grew so attached to him, tracing it all back to the beginning of July. At the dining table, our protagonist is chatting casually with his father, who brings up something from earlier in the day. He met a foreigner at the train station who seemed confused and needed help. Since he couldn't understand her language, he ended up taking her to the station staff. Our lad praises his father for helping out. His father then shows interest in taking English classes to improve, but the protagonist suggests that he should do something he can stick with. Right after that, the father randomly mentions the idea of remarriage, saying maybe that's something he can stay committed to. This sudden remark shocks the protagonist so much that he spits out his food in surprise. He looks at his dad, stunned, wondering if he's being serious. He replies that even though he's joked many times before, he would never mess around with something like this. Still, the protagonist isn't fully convinced and quietly doubts him. Not wanting to spoil the mood, he calmly brings up the topic again and asks who the woman is. His father begins to explain. Her name is Miyuki Tominage, someone he met at a photo shoot, and she works as a freelance makeup artist. He describes her as really cool. Our boy then wonders aloud how long they've been dating and is shocked to hear it's been 2 years. He feels frustrated that his father kept this from him, but his father blames it on his insensitive nature. When asked for a photo, he's informed of their meeting on Saturday and adds a bigger surprise, that he's going to have a step-sibling. Excited, the protagonist learns that the sibling is 1 year younger and agrees happily. But in all the excitement, he forgets to confirm if it's a sister or a brother. On Saturday, Ryota is on his way to meet his new family alone, as his father is too busy to join him right away. But his dad promised to come later, but until then, our lad is left to handle everything on his own. Feeling a bit nervous and awkward about the situation, he walks through the streets, lost in his thoughts. While on his way, he comes across a strange boy who looks confused and out of place. Concerned, Ryota approaches him and politely asks if something is wrong. When the boy turns to face him, he is taken aback by how beautiful he is, delicate features, and a cold, mysterious presence that instantly stands out. But instead of responding kindly, the boy stares at him coldly and asks if he has a problem. He is caught off guard by the coldness, but still tries to explain that he's only trying to help. After a brief moment, the boy admits that he's lost and needs help, though he says it reluctantly. Trying to be helpful, Ryota asks where he wants to go, but the boy suddenly becomes defensive and snaps that it's none of his business. Still, he keeps calm and offers a small, understanding smile, showing that his concern is genuine. Then, without warning, the boy accuses him of trying to hit on him. This surprises Ryota, who has no such intention. While he isn't interested in boys, the unexpected question makes him wonder if the pretty boy is just used to being approached like that, and perhaps that's why he jumps to such conclusions. Ryota quickly apologizes and assures the boy that he has no interest in him, not even a little. The boy, still cold, responds that the way he was approached felt strange to him. Hearing this, Ryota casually turns away and says that if the boy doesn't want help, then there's no need to force it. But just as he begins to walk off, the boy calls out from behind and asks if he truly only meant to help. If that's the case, and Ryota replies that was his intention. After a brief stare, the kid allows our MC to talk to him. This remark makes Ryota pause for a moment, thinking how cheeky the boy is. Still, he shrugs it off, assuming the boy is probably younger than him. Eventually, the boy reveals that he wants to go to a well-known Western-style restaurant nearby. The protagonist is surprised by the coincidence that's exactly where he is headed. However, the boy doesn't take this well. He frowns and accuses the protagonist once more. Despite the misunderstanding, they both end up going to the same place. Outside the restaurant, the boy chooses to wait at the entrance, saying he's expecting someone. Ryota heads inside. Just before stepping through the door, the boy suddenly apologizes for doubting him earlier. With a kind smile, Ryota corrects him, saying that if he's truly sorry, he should say thank you. Slightly shy, the boy murmurs a quiet thanks, and Ryota notices that beneath that cold exterior, the boy seems to have a softer, more delicate side. The scene shifts to Ryota, sitting with his father, who made it on time after rushing from work. Soon after, Miyuki enters and warmly greets them. She introduces herself to Ryota, and he politely returns the greeting. He is momentarily stunned. as she looks incredibly beautiful even at her age. For a fleeting second, he wonders if time has stopped for her in her 30s. But then he quickly reminds himself not to think that way, especially about someone who may soon become his stepmother. Just then, another surprise catches him off guard. Standing beside Miyuki is none other than the boy from earlier. Ryota's father is pleasantly surprised and expresses joy that the two have already met. Ryota introduces himself properly this time as Ryota Majima, now believing this mysterious boy will become his younger brother. Trying to keep things friendly, Ryota asks for his name, but the boy refuses to answer kindly. Instead, he firmly states that he doesn't wish to become too familiar, neither with Ryota nor with his father. Miyuki, clearly embarrassed by the boy's attitude, apologizes and introduces her child as Akira. Ryota's father laughs awkwardly, trying to ease the tension, and says it would be nice if Akira could warm up to them soon. After that, everyone sits down together and engages in small talk, everyone except Akira, who remains distant and cold throughout the interaction. Ryota, despite the boy's attitude, tries to smile and makes small efforts to engage him, though he begins to feel that Akira might dislike him. Later, Ryota's father suggests ordering some dessert, but Akira plainly states that he's not in the mood for it, which casts a quiet, awkward moment at the table and leaves his father visibly disappointed. Ryota steps away to the restroom, his mind clouded with thoughts about Akira. He wonders if the boy truly doesn't care about anything, or perhaps it's the idea of their parents' remarriage that troubles him. The cold attitude, the distance, the defensiveness, it all begins to form a picture that Ryota can't fully understand. But as he exits the restroom, something unexpected stops him in his tracks. Just ahead, Akira stands with a lowered gaze, his posture slightly stiff. With a quiet bow, he offers an apology for his earlier cold behavior. His voice is steady, though there's a flicker of discomfort in his expression. Embarrassment he's trying to suppress. Ryota responds with a gentle smile, suggesting that he understands. He assumes Akira's resistance comes from disapproval of their parents getting remarried. But Akira immediately shifts, eyes narrowing slightly as he clears up the misunderstanding. It isn't the remarriage that troubles him, not in the least. What weighs on him is the fear of personal space being invaded, the delicate balance of privacy being disturbed. That response makes Ryota pause. Something about Akira's words hints at a deeper experience, something personal. But it's far too soon to ask. Some walls can't be climbed with questions, only softened over time. Choosing to keep things light, Ryota gently reminds Akira that they'll soon be part of the same household. It might be better if they begin building a bond now, however small. Akira gives a slight nod, acknowledging the truth in that. Still, Ryota doesn't stop there. He looks directly at Akira and adds that simply living under the same roof doesn't make people a family. Blood doesn't flow between them, so instead of forcing the idea of what a family should be, maybe they should focus on what kind of connection they want to create, on understanding one another, sharing thoughts honestly, and trying to build trust from the heart. Ryota expresses his wish to become someone Akira can truly consider family, not out of obligation, but from the heart. Akira's eyes widen slightly, caught off guard. A faint blush colors his cheeks as he looks away, flustered. He murmurs that Ryota shouldn't go around saying such embarrassing things so casually. Amused, Ryota wonders if that means he's not open to the idea after all, but Akira quickly corrects him, telling him to just call him Akira from now on. That one small shift makes Ryota's heart lift with relief. To him, this feels like the first true compromise between them, the first step forward. The two reach out and shake hands, both quietly hoping they'll manage to get along from here on out. Later, as Ryota and his father leave the restaurant, he quietly mentions how Akira seems like a good person, just a little awkward when it comes to expressing himself. His father thanks him for handling everything so well, though Ryota gently tells him there's no need to say that. While walking, his father brings up something Miyuki Tominaga had shared earlier, that Akira usually struggles to connect with others, which makes it even more surprising that he's opening up to Ryota. Thinking back to Akira's guarded behavior, Ryota becomes curious and asks why he finds it difficult to be close with people. His father hesitates briefly before explaining. Akira's biological father, Miyuki's former husband, had been a man who avoided responsibility. He wasted money on gambling, smoked constantly, and often stayed away from home for days without any care for the family. He never worked or contributed anything meaningful. Miyuki once described him as someone who only chased after dreams, ignoring reality. And it was in that kind of environment that Akira was raised, which eventually shaped his discomfort around men. Ryota understands now. The coldness wasn't personal. Akira likely would have reacted the same way around any man. It wasn't just about their family situation, it came from a much deeper place. With that in mind, Ryota becomes firm in his thoughts. If Akira carries that kind of pain, then it's even more important that they create something better. He tells his father to leave it to him, not just for Akira's sake, but for everyone involved. He's determined to build a relationship that feels like real family, one where trust replaces discomfort. His father, amused by the sudden seriousness, asks what kind of plan he has. Ryota simply mentions that beneath Akira's cold side, there's also a softer and more delicate one, and as the older brother, he intends to cherish that. His father smiles, reminding him not to go overboard, though he admits he's starting to get a little worried after seeing Ryota's determination. But even at that moment, Ryota remains unaware of one truth, that Akira isn't his stepbrother at all, but actually his stepsister. Meanwhile, back in her room, Akira quietly reflects on everything Ryota said earlier. She finds him strange, maybe even a little too strange, but somewhere in that strangeness, there's a warmth that lingers in her thoughts. The next morning, Ryota excitedly shares some news with his friend Kaosei. He tells him to rejoice because soon he's going to have a little brother. Kaosei casually congratulates him, not showing much reaction, but Ryota doesn't mind and quickly brings up something else. He mentions needing a favor, though Kaosei instantly refuses without even asking what it's about. Ryota laughs off the rejection and explains that his family will be moving in during the summer vacation, and he wants to prepare a warm welcome for them, especially for his soon-to-be younger brother. Ryota explains that he needs help setting up a room, and since Kaosei has experience working part-time as a mover, he figured he'd be the perfect person to ask. But Kaosei remains uninterested and clearly has no intention of agreeing. As they talk, a group of girls walking by notices Kaosei and starts whispering about his looks. While they're clearly impressed, Kaosei just looks irritated, as if used to this unwanted attention. Ryota, though annoyed, keeps on trying to convince him. He asks if Kaosei is free this Saturday, but he casually replies that he already has plans, mainly to stay in bed and catch up on sleep. Still trying, Ryota reminds him that he shares his homework and assignments with him all the time, so the least he could do is help out, especially since his father won't be home this weekend. Just as Ryota finishes, Kaosei stops mid-sentence. He suggests taking Hinata instead and using her help for everything he needs. Just then, Hinata walks up from behind and greets Ryota-senpai with a bright smile. Curious, she asks what he was discussing with her Oni-chan. Ryota, flustered by how close she stands, keeps it vague, saying they were just talking about cleaning his house. When she wonders aloud why her name came up, Kaosei steps in to explain. He tells Hinata that Ryota's dad is getting remarried soon, so Ryota has asked for help cleaning the room for his future brother. But since he's too busy himself, he thinks Hinata should go in his place. Without any hesitation, Hinata agrees, saying she's happy to help since Ryota is a close friend of her brother. Seeing a perfect opportunity, Ryota adds that she should convince her brother to come along too. Hinata smiles and agrees, turning to Kaosei with a pleading look. Caught off guard and clearly unable to refuse her, Kaosei finally gives in and agrees to help. Ryota looks satisfied, having managed to get both siblings on board for the weekend. Movers are stationed outside, chatting politely with Ryota and his father as they wrap up the final bit of work. After a while, all the boxes make it inside, and Ryota, a little out of breath, confirms whether that's everything. His father nods, explaining that the new arrivals had already minimized their belongings before the move. They only brought what they truly needed. Apparently, they had been living in a cramped space, side by side on a futon, with barely any room to themselves. The idea sticks with Ryota, especially when he thinks about Akira never having a proper space of his own. His father thanks him for tidying up the upstairs area, casually saying Akira will probably be happy with it. But the tone throws Ryota off. It sounds like a joke, even if the words are sincere. He throws back a sarcastic comment, pretending to be Akira, but almost immediately second-guesses himself. What if Akira really does feel that way? He voices the concern out loud, but his father squints, amused, wondering if Ryota's attempting some kind of Akira impression. Ryota laughs weakly in response. His father reassures him that a room has already been prepared and that everything's been communicated. Ryota nods, deciding to show Akira to the room personally when they return. Still, as he glances at the unopened luggage, a thought crosses his mind. Starting to unpack without them there feels wrong. His dad brushes it off casually, mentioning that they've only gone shopping and should be back soon. True enough, it isn't long before a cheerful voice echoes through the entrance. Miyuki steps in with a polite bow, offering a sweet smile as she says she'll be in their care. Ryota fumbles slightly with his response, still adjusting to her formal tone. He and his father instinctively reach forward at the same time, offering to carry her things. She accepts with a soft laugh, handing over the bags without hesitation. While heading further inside with the luggage, Ryota can't help but peek inside out of curiosity. A wave of nervousness creeps in. He doesn't even know why he feels this tense. Just then, a quiet voice calls out to him. Turning around, he sees Akira standing at the entrance, fidgeting slightly. Out of nowhere, Akira gives a formal bow, asking to be looked after. This sudden gesture catches Ryota off guard. He responds a bit awkwardly, not sure how to handle it, and watches as Akira steps inside. Akira's greeting as she enters feels almost distant. Ryota teases her gently, saying she should just say she's home next time. She's not intruding. Akira blushes faintly, nods, and slowly makes her way down the hall. Later, he walks Akira through the house, showing him around. Eventually, they stop at one last door. Ryota gestures toward it, saying it's his. Akira pauses for a second before reaching for the handle. Seeing the hesitation, Ryota gives him a gentle nudge of encouragement. Akira finally steps inside, nervous, unsure, and then suddenly freezes in place. His eyes go wide as he takes in the room stunned. Ryota stands behind him, watching silently, happy to see the effort had paid off. Everyone had pitched in. Hinata was cheerful the whole time, and even Kause, despite all the complaining, helped out. Ryota makes a quiet mental note to thank them both properly later. He walks over to Akira and asks if he likes it. Akira fidgets a little, clearly not used to something like this. He quietly asks if it's really okay for him to have such a beautiful space. Ryota offers a warm smile and reassures him that this is his home now. If he wants to change anything or needs something, he can ask either him or Dad. Akira turns toward him with a kind of excitement Ryota didn't expect. There's a spark in his expression, one that makes Ryota's heart skip for a second. He quickly turns away, cheeks heating up. He hadn't seen that coming. That reaction was way too strong. Akira notices and asks if something's wrong, but Ryota quickly brushes it off, shifting toward one of the boxes. He offers to help unpack, reaching toward it, only to be suddenly stopped by Akira's raised voice. Ryota freezes as Akira steps forward and firmly insists on handling the rest himself. The box label catches Ryota's eye, clothing and other personal items. He steps back, understanding. Even in this shared space, some things are meant to stay private. Without much warning, Ryota finds himself being gently shoved out of the room, and the door shuts behind him with a solid thud. He stands frozen in the hallway, stunned. It feels like he might have crossed a line. A sense of guilt creeps in, and he starts to wonder if he truly made a mistake. He had assumed that since they were both guys, things like seeing some underwear wouldn't matter, but clearly he was wrong. Trying to brush it off, he mutters under his breath, telling Akira to take his time. Then he quietly gathers himself. There's no point spiraling now. Their relationship is still just beginning, and if anything, he needs to stay focused. He breathes in, mentally reminding himself to keep it together and think about how to handle things from here. In the evening, at the dinner table, everyone gathers. Ryota and his dad compliments food, and Yuki looks delighted, clearly pleased by everyone's reactions. Ryota, meanwhile, quietly soaks it all in. Compared to the usual ready-made meals he shared with his dad, this feels like a real dinner, like a proper family. Unable to hold it in, he smiles and comments on how especially good the hamburger tastes. But Miyuki, a little flustered, shyly admits it was actually store-bought from the discount deli. That catches Ryota completely off guard. He fumbles for a response, trying to play it cool, but she just chuckles gently and says she's glad he enjoyed it anyway. Ryota looks to his dad for some kind of support, but he's no help. He laughs and praises the spinach instead. Miyuki, a bit embarrassed, mumbles that even that was from the same deli. That's strike two. Both Ryota and his dad deflate a little, sinking into their seats in defeat. Trying to lighten the mood again, Miyuki smiles and promises she'll cook for real starting tomorrow. Before the awkwardness can grow, a soft laugh escapes from across the table. Akira is trying to stifle a giggle. Ryota raises an eyebrow, smirking as he teases him about it. Akira quickly insists it's nothing, but his face is clearly flushed. Ryota keeps grinning, pointing out how red he is. Akira turns away again, mumbling a denial, but Ryota feels strangely relieved. Maybe these kinds of small, silly moments are exactly what they need to grow closer. It's awkward, sure, but it's real. Later that night, Ryota is lying on his back in bed, arms folded behind his head, when someone calls out to him. Mayuki lets him know that the bath is free. He answers back from his room, saying he'll go in, but the moment he steps into the hallway, he freezes. Right there in front of him stands Miyuki, her presence as casual as ever. She tilts her head, asking if something's wrong. Ryota's eyes dart away as heat rushes to his face. Without answering, he tries to walk past her quickly. She blinks, wondering aloud if there's something strange on her leg. Ryota stammers, brushing it off as he basically escapes down the hall. Inside the bathroom, he exhales deeply and starts to undress. But no matter how hard he tries to focus, that brief hallway encounter keeps replaying in his mind. Maybe Miyuki could try being a bit more careful around him. Just as that thought forms, something else catches his eye. Akira's undergarments are still inside, clearly visible. The earlier outfit starts to feel intentional. It seems like she planned things so he would walk in at that exact moment. The thought leaves him unsettled. He quickly shakes his head, dismissing the thought. She's just naturally airheaded. He sighs, sliding his pants off. Whatever the case, he tells himself not to overthink. Miyuki probably doesn't even realize what kind of position she puts people in. Then, a knock breaks the silence. Ryota tenses. A familiar voice calls out from behind the door. It's Akira. Ryota exhales in relief and tells him it's okay to come in. The door opens slowly, and Akira peeks through. But as soon as he steps inside and sees Ryota, he just stops cold. Ryota asks if something's wrong, but Akira doesn't answer right away. He stands frozen, eyes shifting nervously. After a few stuttered syllables, he fails to get a sentence out. Ryota, already halfway undressed, casually steps aside, saying Akira can bathe after him. But before the sentence even finishes, Akira lets out a startled scream and slams the door behind him, disappearing in a flash. Ryota just stands there, blinking in confusion. Shrugging, Ryota slips into the tub. As he leans back into the warm water, his thoughts begin to drift. They're going to live together now, the four of them, under one roof. It still feels a little surreal. His mind flashes back to Miyuki for a moment, and he flicks some water lazily into the air. There will be complications ahead. But as long as they stay close, maybe they'll figure it out. Ryota knows his dad should probably be the one worrying about this stuff. But if he won't step up, then he will. Ryota finishes his bath and steps out, toothbrush in hand, when a knock comes from the other side of the door. Akira's voice calls out, asking if he's done. Ryota pokes his head out and nods. Akira glances in cautiously before stepping closer. When Ryota asks if he wants to bathe next, Akira quietly confirms, cracking the door open just slightly. Ryota flashes a friendly smile and tells him there's no need to be so formal. This is his house too now. That simple reassurance makes Akira pause, and after a brief silence, he murmurs a soft thank you, then apologizes for earlier. Ryota raises a brow, not quite sure what he means, until Akira awkwardly refers to the moment as a bit too much. Ryota just shrugs and waves it off. It's not a big deal to him. They're family, and besides, it's not like it's something strange between guys. But Akira looks visibly shaken by that statement, almost like Ryota said something completely outrageous. Still, Ryota stays firm in his casual tone. He ponders that it's no different from a locker room or a public bath. To ease the tension, Ryota adds his own apology too. He admits he should have been more careful and promises to do better next time. That seems to help, and Akira nods gently. But then Ryota notices something else. Akira just added "kun" to his name. That won't do. With a grin, Ryota tells him to drop the formality. Since they're family now, he can call him Aniki instead. Or just Ryota, if that's easier, but Aniki has a nicer ring to it. After a pause, Akira nods again and agrees. He'll call him that from now on. Ryota's face lights up at the small win. Akira, completely unfazed, stares at him with a flat expression. Then, with a deadpan voice, he asks Ryota to leave so he can finally take his bath. Ryota is still brushing his teeth like a fool and insists he'll be done in a second. But Akira's had enough. He shoves him right out and slams the door shut behind him. Now standing in the hallway, toothpaste still foaming in his mouth, Ryota blinks. Akira really doesn't want anyone seeing him naked, not even a fellow guy. That's going to be a serious issue when school trips come around. Still, if it's his little brother's problem, Ryota figures he'll help him work through it eventually. Later that night, just as Ryota begins to doze off, an old memory creeps into his mind. In the dream, he's a kid again, walking down a hallway as the sound of shouting echoes around him. His mother's voice is sharp, angry. She's yelling about how the man she's with doesn't even want children. Then comes his father's voice, defiant, insisting that Ryota is his son and he's taking custody no matter what. His mother yells something else, but the words blur. His father fires back, telling her to leave and never come near Ryota again. Ryota's eyes snap open. The night air drifts in through the open window. He had the same dream again. He sits up slowly and checks his phone. His thoughts quietly drift to Akira. He wonders if he's doing okay, if he's truly come to terms with his parents' divorce. The scene fades into morning. Ryota's sitting with controller in hand, fully immersed in his game. Behind him, the door creaks open. Akira steps out. Looking back, Ryota invites him to play video games like a peace offering. Akira gives his usual quiet glance and replies flatly that he'll pass. He has a transfer exam the day after tomorrow. That snaps Ryota to attention. He offers to help study, leaning away from the screen, but Akira shuts it down with a firm shake of his head. It's been a few days since Akira and his mother moved in. Ryota's realized that connecting with his new stepbrother isn't easy. Akira is distant and blunt, but Ryota doesn't take it personally. It's just how he is. He's used to being on his own, and he gets that feeling. He was an only child too. Still, Ryota wishes they could break the ice. He calls Kause, and after explaining everything, jumps straight into the question. How do you bond with a younger brother? There's a pause. The friend sounds confused. Turns out he only has a younger sister. Realizing the mismatch, Ryota scolds himself for even calling. The friend gives a blunt answer and mutters a goodbye, but Ryota quickly changes the question. What about bonding with younger boys in general? This time, Kause offers a solid piece of advice. Don't force it. The more you push, the more they pull away. That sticks with Ryota. Maybe he's been trying too hard. Before he can think on it, there's rustling on the other end, and a new voice comes on, cheerful and unexpected. It's Hinata. She says the phone was handed off to her. Ryota's briefly annoyed, but lets it go. He explains the situation, saying he wants to bond with his stepbrother. Hinata thinks for a moment, then suggests finding a shared hobby. It's not a bad idea, and Ryota's thought of it before, but Akira keeps to himself and probably wouldn't say what he likes. When he mentions that, Hinata gently suggests asking someone who knows Akira well. That gets Ryota thinking. Only one person fits. Akira's mother. Feeling a bit more hopeful, he thanks Hinata. She replies warmly, happy to help. As the phone changes hands, Kause returns with a smug comment, clearly amused. Ryota admits Hinata's advice was more helpful. The teasing continues. Kause suggests Ryota talk to her directly next time. He hesitates, but Kause stays casual, encouraging him to keep in touch with her online. Ryota finds it a bit suspicious, but admits she was helpful. Maybe reaching out again wouldn't be so bad. Later he finds Miyuki sitting on the couch. He gently gets her attention, and she smiles, thinking he's asking about food. He quickly waves it off. It's about Akira. Furthermore, he wants to understand him better. Though they're step-siblings, Ryota has started to feel responsible for Akira, but connecting with him has been difficult. As he explains this, Miyuki's smile softens. She's touched by his sincerity. Ryota says he figured learning what Akira likes might help. Miyuki shares a few things. He reads typical boys' manga and plays phone games. Hearing that, Ryota realizes they're not so different. Miyuki agrees. Even as his mother, she admits there's still a lot she doesn't know about Akira. But one thing's certain, he's lucky to have Ryota as a brother. That hits Ryota. He wonders if Akira feels the same. He shares a memory from when they first met, how Akira had said he didn't want to grow close. Miyuki's smile fades. She gently explains that Akira might still be holding on to feelings for his biological father. Ryota, pouring a drink, asks if that's really the case. She nods. She goes on. Akira's father wasn't a great parent. He chased acting jobs, struggled with alcohol, and eventually fell apart. Ryota already knew some of this, but hearing it from Miyuki feels different. Despite everything, Akira's father had been loving in Akira's eyes. He brought gifts, played with him, and never showed his struggles. The divorce wasn't something a child could fully understand. Over time, Akira even stopped calling him dad. Miyuki's hands tighten in her lap as she speaks. Ryota listens, remembering how emotionless his own father had been during their divorce. He wonders how much Akira really understands. Setting the drink beside her, Ryota reflects. He didn't expect Akira still cared about his father. Mayuki nods. Akira's bluntness and distance often remind her of him. Sometimes it feels like Akira still holds a grudge, and she fears he might blame her. Ryota offers the drink and speaks gently. He knows their situations are different, but he can relate. He doesn't think Akira resents her. At this stage, she might just accept things as they are. Not everything has a clear answer. Mayuki smiles warmly, grateful. Ryota feels relieved his words helped. Later, Ryota is back in the living room when he hears the door creak. Akira enters quietly, scanning the room before asking where their mother is. Ryota says she's out shopping. Akira stands there a moment, murmurs something, then turns to leave. But his eyes linger on the TV. Ryota notices. With a grin, he invites him to play. Akira stiffens, trying to act uninterested, but keeps sneaking glances at the controller. Ryota pats the empty seat beside him, joking that he's tired of playing alone. Akira hesitates, says he has an entrance exam, and claims he's never played the game, but it sounds more like guilt than resistance. Ryota shrugs and says it's okay to take breaks. Finally, Akira takes the controller. Ryota catches a faint smile on his face, small but meaningful. As Akira sits beside him, Ryota asks if he's ever played on a console. Akira nods, saying he's tried it at a friend's place. That's good enough for Ryota. He smiles and tells him he's free to use this one anytime. Akira murmurs a soft thanks, barely audible but sincere. Watching him fumble with the buttons, Ryota wonders if he'd just been too shy to ask before. They're playing End of the Samurai 2, a niche historical game Ryota loves. When Akira chooses his character, Ryota does a double take. A female swordsman in disguise, part of a rogue Ronin gang. Interesting pick. He teases him about the choice, but Akira replies flatly that she looks strong. Ryota smirks and lets him pick the stage, only to see Akira already locked in before he can finish the sentence. Amused, he rushes to select his own. As the game loads, Ryota shoots him a half-serious look, warning that he won't go easy. Akira mumbles that it's his first time, but the moment the round starts, he's already causing chaos on screen. Ryota cracks his knuckles. Game on. He wins the first round, then the second, throwing in a smug comment about Akira improving but still having a ways to go. Akira seems annoyed but admits he's starting to get the hang of it. Then, in round 3, Akira wins. Quiet pride lights up his face, and Ryota genuinely compliments him. For the first time, it feels like they're really connecting. It's nice. But Ryota's not done yet. He straightens up, saying they'll go one more round. This time, he's bringing out his mane, and his samurai pride is on the line. Akira just smiles. When he wins again, his character delivers a dramatic victory line about never marrying someone weaker. Ryota groans. He's always hated that line. Trying to salvage some dignity, Ryota suggests switching to a co-op game, but Akira pouts. He was just getting into it. Ryota sighs, standing up, promising they'll play later. Before he can leave, Akira suddenly grabs his arm. Ryota stumbles, nearly falling back onto the couch. They freeze. Akira mumbles an apology, clearly flustered. Their eyes meet, and Ryota notices the nervous tension in his face. Akira's cheeks begin to flush. Ryota, curious, blurts out something impulsive, something honest. It catches Akira off guard. His posture stiffens, his blush deepens, and he fidgets, unsure what to do. Ryota chuckles, brushing it off casually. Akira tries to call him out, embarrassed they're even having this conversation as step-siblings, but Ryota stays cool. That only makes it worse. Then Ryota suddenly asks him to close his eyes. Akira hesitates, suspicious. He tenses, asking what Ryota's planning, but Ryota urges him to trust him. He closes his eyes, tense and unsure of what Ryota's planning. But he simply squishes his cheeks. Akira blinks, confused. Ryota laughs, teasing him about how soft his cheeks are. Akira jerks away, mortified. Trying to smooth things over, Ryota says something about relaxing facial muscles helping with better expressions. He adds that Akira's smile from earlier actually suited him. Akira goes quiet, thinking about it. He repeats the thought softly to himself, still unsure how to feel. Ryota rubs the back of his head, realizing he might have gone too far. He tries to lighten the mood again, teasing, "You really are kinda cute, though." That does it. Akira smacks his shoulder, face bright red, yelling that he's not happy to hear that from him. Then, without another word, he storms off upstairs, tossing a childish insult over his shoulder. Ryota just stands there, stunned. Big dummy? Seriously? Then, the front door opens, and Mayuki walks in. She sees Akira fleeing upstairs, still red-faced, and turns to Ryota, asking what happened. He plays it off with a calm smile, saying it's nothing. Still, in that moment, he was simply happy, cheering himself up with the thought that he had grown a little closer to Akira, unaware of the deeper reality behind it all. As the scene fades out and back in, the mood has changed completely. The living room is now full of rapid button mashing and loud, competitive shouts. Ryota and Akira are deep in a fierce video game battle. Ryota yells in protest as Akira lands an unfair aerial combo, clearly taking advantage of the game mechanics. But Akira, grinning from ear to ear, fires back confidently, insisting it's perfectly fair. With a few more attacks, he seals the win. His character taunts Ryota on screen, delivering a cheeky line. Hours pass like minutes as they get caught up in game after game. Since Akira's transfer exam had gone off without a hitch, August arrived quietly, bringing subtle changes between them. He begins stopping by his room more often to borrow manga. Their gaming sessions become a regular thing. Time with him grows, and Ryota finds himself enjoying every second. As another match heats up, he yells out his next attack strategy with over-the-top flair, only for Akira to shout back that he's the worst. Just then, Miyuki's voice drifts in from asking Akira to handle an errand since she'll be coming home late again. Ryota glances her way and notices the tiredness etched on her face. As a freelance makeup artist, Miyuki always seems calm, even while juggling her job and housework, but today she looks especially worn out. Akira groans and flops onto the floor, clearly not thrilled by the request. He mutters about how he's still not familiar with the area. Seeing this, Ryota stands and offers to take care of it instead. Miyuki blinks, surprised, but he reassures her with a warm smile and tells her to feel free to ask him anytime. Then he turns to Akira and invites her to come along, offering to show her around since this is her new home now. Akira hesitates but eventually agrees. Miyuki gives them both a relieved smile, and Ryota flashes a thumbs up. As they step outside, Akira mumbles a soft apology for the wait. Ryota raises an eyebrow when he notices his outfit. He's wearing a thick sweater in the middle of summer. He teases him about it, wondering aloud how he's not overheating, but Akira simply shrugs it off, saying he's used to it. As they walk side by side, Ryota throws in another light tease about Akira's fashion sense, pointing out how he doesn't really care about style despite having the looks to be popular. Akira picks up his pace slightly, rushing off the comment and saying popularity doesn't matter to him. Suddenly, Akira stumbles over the edge of the sidewalk. Ryota reacts instantly, lunging forward to catch him. He steadies him with both arms, asking if he's all right. Still a little winded, Akira nods and assures him he's fine. Ryota chuckles, reminding him he's been pretty laid back since August began, maybe a little too laid back. Akira pouts but doesn't argue, walking a step behind him. Glancing over his shoulder, Ryota admits that he's happy to see him letting his guard down. That catches Akira off guard. He stares at Ryota, genuinely surprised, and Ryota explains that at first, it had felt like Akira was keeping him at a distance. Akira lowers his gaze, his expression shifting, and murmurs a quiet apology. Ryota brushes it off casually, saying it's all right. What matters to him is that he's beginning to relax around him as his older brother, and that thought brings him real joy. Akira glances over again, a soft smile spreading across his face as he quietly calls him Aniki. Ryota responds with a laugh and throws an arm around his shoulder, telling him he doesn't mind if he acts even more immature around him, just like this. His cheeks flush red, but he protests slightly, telling him not to be silly. Ryota, unfazed, grins and claims it's simply a gesture of brotherly affection. Akira studies him for a moment, puzzled, and asks if he acts this way with anyone else. Ryota doesn't even hesitate. His grin widens as he tells him it's only for him. Before long, the scene jumps forward. They're now walking through a grocery store. Akira questions the whole point of what they're doing. Ryota, meanwhile, keeps grabbing items with purpose. He starts explaining how shops are cleverly designed to make people buy more, from the layout of the shelves to the flow of foot traffic. Apparently, if you move in a clockwise direction, you're less likely to spend unnecessarily. That's the trick. Ryota casually tosses a Red Bull into the basket. Akira raises an eyebrow. Grinning, Ryota says it helps when gaming drains his brain. Akira smacks his shoulder and tells him to at least call it studying. Then Akira grabs a can and adds it to the basket. Ryota looks surprised he's getting one too. Akira immediately justifies it, says it's for studying. Ryota isn't buying it and teases him, more like it's for social gaming. Akira puffs his cheeks slightly and insists it's both. Maybe a little. Once they wrap up the shopping, Ryota hands over a popsicle, and they walk together. As they go, Ryota glances at the sky, his mind drifting. He brings up Miyuki-san, saying she's pretty impressive. Akira looks confused until Ryota shows him the note he's holding. Turns out the shopping list wasn't just a random scribble, it's perfectly arranged to match the layout of the store. No wonder they got done so fast. Akira studies the list and makes a guess maybe it's because their mom used to work part-time at a supermarket. That catches Ryota off guard. He wonders if it was during her younger days, but Akira clarifies that it was before their parents separated. Ryota nods quietly and lets it go. He then throws out a challenge, time to decide who carries the bag. Rock, paper, scissors will settle it. Akira looks at him in disbelief. Ryota grins, calling it muscle training. Akira groans, accusing him of being a devil. Ryota just smirks and reminds him always destroys him in that samurai game. They play. Ryota wins and celebrates like he just won a major battle, proudly yelling about taking Hijikata's revenge in heaven. Akira sulks and mutters how unfair it is. Ryota calls it one of his big brother skills. As they walk, Akira lags behind and makes a dramatic show of how heavy the bags are. Ryota looks back and sees the saddest face imaginable. That's enough to crack him. He gives in and tells Akira they'll swap at the corner. Instantly, Akira perks up like he just got a power boost. Back home, Ryota's phone buzzes. He answers, then says he'll handle it. Their dad's staying out overnight for work. Akira adds that mom won't be back until midnight. The living room feels suddenly quiet. Ryota smirks. Just us tonight. Akira nods, already getting the idea. Moments later, a cardboard box opens. Fighting game. Pizza. Controllers. Bliss. Later, Akira's deep into the game, yelling with excitement. Ryota looks over and notices something. He points it out. Akira's got sauce smeared on his face. Akira starts rubbing randomly, trying to find it. Ryota wipes it for her, causing her to blush. Ryota suddenly says he's glad to be Akira's brother, catching her off guard. He explains he would have spent summers alone if not for her. Akira asks why. He could have played with anyone else. Ryota shrugs. I'd rather have a few close bonds than a bunch of friends. What about you? Akira hesitates. I don't hate it, but it feels kinda weird in my chest when I'm with you. Still, I like hanging out with you, Eneki. Ryota smiles. Then I want us to get even closer. Akira blinks. Ha. Ryota grins. Let's take a bath together. Akira freezes, completely stunned. Akira still doesn't seem convinced. He asks if Ryota just wants his back washed. Ryota scratches his head and says he can handle his own hair. But Akira leans in again, clearly still feeling uneasy. He mentions that being in high school makes things like this feel awkward. Sharing a bath now, especially between siblings, doesn't seem appropriate. Hearing the word siblings again makes Ryota tense slightly. To him, that's the very reason he wants to do it. He responds with determination, insisting that bonding through everyday moments is what makes their connection stronger. With wide gestures and a serious tone, he tries to explain the importance of being comfortable in these situations. He points out that Akira has never gone into a public bath or sauna with others before. Akira quietly agrees. Ryota reminds himself that school trips and family outings may include hot springs, and that this kind of experience could help Akira feel more at ease when the time comes. For Ryota, it's not just about bathing, it's about helping his younger brother grow more confident and relaxed in the world around him. Even then, Akira's expression stays uncertain. He brings up the possibility of their mother or uncle finding out. His tone becomes cautious, and there's clear hesitation in his body language. Ryota answers calmly, assuring him that something this ordinary won't cause any problems. He doesn't see it as a big deal. Akira remains unsure, uncertain if this really counts as harmless. Ryota gently suggests they treat it as a quiet moment just between them. Akira repeats the idea softly, still processing, and Ryota nods, thinking it settled. Before Ryota can say more, Akira hesitantly asks if he really likes him, revealing his nervousness. Ryota says of course, Akira is family, someone he cares about deeply. But even as he says it, he feels something more he can't quite name. Akira then asks if Ryota would take responsibility if anyone found out. Ryota nods sincerely, not fully understanding the concern but meaning every word. Akira finally agrees. If it's just washing backs, maybe it's okay. His voice is small, uncertain. Ryota doesn't yet realize the emotional weight behind Akira's words. Akira stands alone outside the bathroom door. He stays frozen for a while, caught in hesitation. After a small breath, he takes a step forward and opens the door. Ryota, already inside with his back turned, waits silently while trying to stay calm. His eyes are closed, his thoughts drifting to an earlier memory. He recalls the last time Akira accidentally saw him unclothed, how startled Akira had been and how quickly he'd fled the room. Ryota hopes this new moment helps Akira become more comfortable around same-gender nudity. There's a small smile on his face as he reminds himself this is something he's doing for Akira's benefit. Akira stands quietly behind him, covering his upper body and trying not to be obvious about it. Ryota, still seated, breaks the silence and asks if Akira has ever washed anyone's back before. Akira replies that he did once, his father's when he was very young, but he doesn't remember it clearly. Ryota responds with a soft smile and tells him to start by pouring warm water on his back. Akira agrees and does as he's told. As the warmth spreads across his back, Ryota lets out a relaxed sigh, genuinely enjoying the sensation. The sound catches Akira off guard, and he reacts immediately, clearly flustered. Ryota doesn't respond to the comment and simply hands him the soap, asking him to continue. Akira hesitates again, then rubs the soap between his hands, creating a thick layer of bubbles. With a gulp, he finally moves closer and reaches out. Ryota flinches and lets out a startled sound as he feels Akira's hands. He quickly turns to ask if Akira is really using his bare hands. Akira pulls back in alarm, thinking he made a mistake. He explains that he usually washes himself with just his hands. Ryota apologizes for reacting strongly and calmly tells him that in this situation, it's better to use a body towel. He motions toward the corner, pointing out a blue towel that should be nearby. Akira finds it and picks it up slowly. He admits that washing with his hands did feel a little strange. After fidgeting a bit more, he finally gets ready to continue, now using the towel instead. A few moments later, Akira begins scrubbing Ryota's back more deliberately. The movements are gentle at first, careful and uncertain. He leans in a little and asks how it feels. Ryota glances back slightly, noting that his back isn't exactly delicate. Akira catches the hint and checks if it's okay to apply more pressure. Ryota gives a slow nod, telling him it's fine. In fact, he encourages him to go all in, even joking that it's fine if his back ends up turning red. With that, Akira suddenly stands upright. There's a visible shift in his posture, a quiet sense of determination settling in. He nods to himself and gets to work, putting all his energy into it. Each motion is firm and focused, like he's determined to scrub every inch clean. But then, without warning, his hands slip. He loses balance and stumbles forward. The surrounding towel loosens slightly as he falls, and in a moment too fast to process, Akira ends up landing on Ryota's back. He freezes instantly, his entire body going stiff. The impact causes his face to turn pale. There's confusion in his thoughts, quickly turning into shock. Akira scrambles off his back, clearly panicked and apologizing under his breath. But Ryota's mind doesn't move on so easily. In that split second, something strikes him, not just awareness, but a feeling so sudden and vivid that it almost knocks the wind out of him. It isn't just physical contact that surprises him, it's the realization that follows. The sensation wasn't random, it was soft, it had weight, and there were clearly two separate forms. As that understanding forms, his
Here I am, know it's been a while.